All right. Hi, I am Matthew Moores. I am a therapist here at Counseling and Prevention Services at Wichita State University. With this live stream, I am continuing the Keep Calm and Breathe On online program that we're doing with Counseling and Prevention Services. This live stream is meant to be an interactive way for you to practice different mindfulness and meditation skills, so you can feel free to use the comments here to leave any questions or reactions that you might have about the exercises that we'll be doing. Before you do leave any comments, though, I'd like to be clear that this isn't therapy, and any questions or comments that you leave on here are not going to be confidential. That being said, if you are a Wichita State University student and you would like to reach out for confidential therapy services here, you can set up an appointment with us by calling 316-978-4792. And whether you're a student here or not, if you're ever in need of more immediate support, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255, or you can text the word HOME to 741-741 for the crisis text line. Both of those are really good options. So today's mindfulness exercise that I'll be bringing you through is adapted from Russ Harris's book, Act Made Simple. It has to do with being mindful of your hand, kind of a different one for us today. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to notice your hand, and I do mean really notice it. In fact, I'm going to have you look at your hand for about 5 minutes, and before we do jump into that, I want you to kind of notice any thoughts and expectations that you have coming up for you about what this might be like to look at your hand for so long, for about 5 minutes. For example, you might be thinking that this will be boring or tedious or difficult, and we will see if that's the case. Sometimes our minds are really good at predicting things, but sometimes they're not so good. So just take one more moment here to check in with yourself about your expectations for this exercise of mindfulness of your hand, and then we will see how things actually turn out. All right. So when you're ready, get into a comfortable position and turn one of your hands palm upward. You can hold it at a comfortable distance from your face. For the next few minutes, I'd like you to observe your hand as if you're a curious scientist who has never seen a hand before. And from that perspective, first notice the outline of your hand. Mentally trace that outline, starting at the base of the thumb and tracing around all the fingers. Notice the shapes of the spaces in between your fingers. And notice where your hand tapers in at the wrist. And now, notice the color of your skin. Notice that it's not just one color. There are different tones and shades and dappled areas. And ever so slowly, stretch your fingers out and push them back as far as they will go. And notice how that color changes in your skin. Then you can slowly release the tension and notice how the color returns. Do that once more, ever so slowly, noticing the color disappear. And then again, when you relax, notice it return. And now take a moment to notice the large lines on your palm. Notice the shapes that they make, where they come together or diverge or intersect. And zoom in on one of those lines to notice how there are many smaller lines feeding into it and branching out of it. And now shift your attention to one of your fingertips and notice the spiral pattern there. The pattern that you always see on fingerprints. And notice how that pattern doesn't stop in your fingertip. It carries on down your finger. And trace it right on down and notice how it continues into your palm. And now, ever so slowly, bring your little finger toward your thumb and notice how the flesh in your palm muscles scrunches up. And now, slowly release and notice the flesh resume its normal contours. Now we're going to have you turn your hand into more of a chopping position, looking at the profile of it here, and notice the difference between the skin on the palm and the skin on the back of your hand. Look at your index finger in particular and notice that there's sort of a dividing line where those two types of skin meet each other. And after you've taken some time to notice that, ever so slowly, turn your hand over and notice the skin on the back of your hand. Notice any criticisms or judgments that your mind might make here. As you're looking at the back of your hand, notice any scars, sunspots, or blemishes. And notice the different colors in the skin again, like where it passes over a vein or over your knuckles. And ever so slowly, curl your hand into a gentle fist. Notice how the texture of your skin changes. Notice any comments that your mind makes about that, and focus in on your knuckles. Gently rotate your fist and notice the contours and valleys of your knuckles. And now tighten your fist and notice what happens to the knuckles, to their color and their prominence. And then, ever so slowly, open your hand up, straighten your fingers, and notice how your knuckles sort of just disappear. And now bring your attention to one of your fingernails and notice the texture of the nail and the different shades of color. Notice where the nail disappears under the skin and the cuticle that seals it in there. And now, ever so slowly, ever so gently, wiggle your fingers up and down. And notice the tendons moving under the skin, pumping up and down like pistons and rods. And that brings us to just about 5 minutes of doing this hand mindfulness exercise. So take a moment to check in with yourself. How was this exercise? Was it what you expected, or was it different? I hope that this gave you a new way to think about mindfulness, and I invite you to apply this mindset of being like a curious scientist to other things that you observe over the course of the day or the week or just in general. So you can join us again for next week for more of our Keep Calm and Breathe On live stream series at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays. As a reminder, if you are a student here and you would like confidential therapy services, you can give us a call at 316-978-4792 to set up an appointment. And whether you're a student here or not, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255 or text HOME to 741-741 for crisis support services. I hope that you enjoy the rest of your week, and you can find me here again next week at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays for Keep Calm and Breathe On. So, see you.